I'm Carl here at Carl Stacey Guitar Tuition, and today we're going to jump in and talk about why the band BILMURI are blowing up right now. Let's get into it.
This song is called Better Hell.
Okay, so if you've never heard of BILMURI before, let's do a quick little history test on this one, alright? Johnny Franck, you may know him and you may remember him from a little band. I say that kind of semi-sarcastically. A little band called Attack Attack back in the early 2000s. Best known for things like this and things like that, alright? It's always worth noting this first and paying attention to this first, because without that band and the kind of foundation of what he grew with that band and what he learned with that band, I don't think the success of BILMURI would be the level of success they are today, alright? So it's gone on record, and I've watched many podcasts where Johnny himself has talked about this. Post him leaving the band Attack Attack, he was focusing on recording bands and mixing and things like that for about a decade or thereabouts. I believe he often jokes about being in his mum's basement doing that and just sort of living that kind of life for a little while. But he also himself credits things like this to understanding music better, to understanding how to produce a better, well-rounded, well-crafted song, and how to also, of course, mix and master those songs as well, which definitely came in handy in the early days of BILMURI. And so far, we've got two notable things right now. We've got the start of his career with Attack Attack, and just the vision of the jokiness of the band, the lightheartedness of the band, the jokey song titles, album names. Obviously, the whole crabcore thing was a little bit of a meme and it wasn't to be taken seriously. A lot of this came from the mastermind of Johnny Franck, alright? Fast forward to him leaving that band, you've got him focusing for close to a decade on just working with bands. Kind of, I don't know if he did producing or not, but he definitely did recording, engineering, possibly some mixing and mastering and stuff like that. Building up his skills and his abilities as far as not performing and not playing all of the time. So you got more of a behind the scenes perspective and more of a behind the scenes take on the approach to everything, more so than he probably did when he was in Attack Attack, which was more writing songs and performing in the kind of traditional band situation and setup. And then 2016 rolls around and he unveils BILMURI to the world. And I remember discovering BILMURI in about 2020, before he blew up, for lack of better words. Not that any band ever blows up necessarily. It takes many years of determination and hard work, and in his case it definitely took about close to a decade for the same, and just album after album. But yeah, you listen to those first few albums, you see a lot of the time spent, a lot of the craft that he built up until that point from Attack Attack and recording bands and producing bands and things like this. You hear that he was self-producing, self-recording, self-mixing, self-mastering, just kind of doing it all under his own wheelhouse and his own kind of control, which I think definitely helped him out, because that would have got the ball rolling and created a lot of productivity, a lot of motivation. He was in control a lot more. He could also save money and apply money to other things to kind of help promote the band and things like that. Obviously, for the most part, it's always been Johnny Franck, and he has other members that he works with today for live, and also works with other songwriters and producers and things like that now in the BILMURI kind of sphere. Early days, not so much. Those first three albums are a lot more raw, a lot more kind of grounded in just a traditional sort of guitar, bass, drums, vocals sort of setup and way, but I really think it kind of laid the groundwork for the band really well. And of course, every band has to start somewhere and work their way up from there as well. So let's just kind of quickly fast forward through some of the discography of BILMURI. He's got a lot of albums at this point. I want to say, probably should have fact-checked this. I want to say it's somewhere around 13 albums, 12 albums, something like that. Some of which are just 7, 8 songs, more you could argue EP length, but they're all treated as and released as albums, so I'm going to consider those albums as well. I don't really think the number of songs on something contributes towards it being an album or an EP. I think it's just whatever you want it to be, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is and that's what it will be. And if you listen to like I have, you go from album to album and you just go on that journey, you go down that rabbit hole of just listening to Bill Murray religiously day in, day out, which I absolutely 100% definitely did do. You definitely see a very kind of the trajectory of where the band was going and where his head was at the time, and the tone of the music, the sound of the music. The first few albums are, like I say, much more raw with the instrumentation and very, very, very emotional and dark and deep. Again, he went on record and podcasts and things to say he was going through a really hard time, so it definitely all adds up and makes sense. That's what every musician does, right? You write about what you know, you write about what you're dealing with, what you're feeling, things like that. If you start to notice, there's a bit of a journey kind of in the middle-ish of the discography where the other instrumentation starts to come in, whether it's layers of like other synth or things like this. And most notably, which has become a very staple part of Bill Murray in today, is the saxophone, alright? I don't believe it was originally Gabby Rose playing the saxophone on those earlier albums, but someone else. But you start to notice a lot more saxophone being brought into it. You start to notice a lot more electronics being brought into it. Some auto-tune, which is kind of part of Johnny Franck's kind of history coming from Attack, right? There was a lot of that auto-tune in the sound. That's what part of the sound was. That's what made up part of the sound. And he started to implement and just kind of, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And that gives you the sound of what Bill Murray is now, which is a much more well-rounded, well-crafted, kind of thought-out tone and sound, but there's definitely a journey to get that point, just like every band has to go on a journey to get to that point, right? So if we fast forward to Bill Murray in 2026, I truly believe some of the reasons why this band have blown up, are blowing up. It's not all music related, but I'll touch on the music first. Music first, pop, right? There's a lot of pop melody and choruses, and at this point, who doesn't enjoy that? Who doesn't like that? Who doesn't have an inkling to just kind of passively enjoy it, fully enjoy it, whatever the case may be? It's hard not to enjoy it, and that therefore broadens the spectrum of Bill Murray's music to a much bigger, wider audience. Number two is going to be, of course, the heavy guitars that are still there. Heavy music now in today's society is much more cooler than it ever has been, and maybe ever will be, I don't know. But you've got heavy guitars that people really enjoy right now, which kind of course, appeals to the more metal crowd. You've got the metal moments, you've got the breakdowns, you've still got elements of screaming in there. You've got the pop verses and choruses, super easy, hummable, memorable melodies that stick in your head for days and days and days, I know that for sure. You've just got, obviously, generally well-written songs, very kind of, a lot more kind of traditional these days in terms of a verse-chorus structure, but if it's not broke, don't fix it, you know what I mean? That's what I start to do with my band now, is to focus on things, just a much more pop kind of traditional structure, because it's what appeals to people, and it's what... You're not gonna not like a song when it's a verse-chorus structure, let's put it that way, especially the broader audience of people that listen to music. You've got unique instrumentation, you've got a lot of synth pop in there, a lot of other keyboard layers and synth layers that come and go throughout. You've got the country sound, which is super popular, more now than ever before as well. It's got other instrumentation, the pedal steel and things like that are layered amongst all of this. And then finally, you've also got the saxophone in terms of use as a lead instrument and solos and things like this. And this just, like, Yellowcard did this with the violin in the early 2000s of just standing out in terms of the pop punk world, right? Who else since Yellowcard has put a violin player on their band in the pop punk kind of punk rock alternative scene? I don't know any. Let me know if I'm wrong. Same thing with Bill Murray. Who has really got a saxophone player on their band? Who is really implementing saxophone parts as a lead instrument and a main section of the song? I don't know of any other than Bill Murray right now, especially in this kind of scene, in this area, in this place in music. And that alone is obviously going to pique people's interest and get a lot of people on board in terms of, ooh, what's this over here? Let's go check this out, what's going on? And I know that was definitely part of it for me as well. And then to round all of that off, You've got all of that light-hearted, jokey, meme quality that Johnny took from the days of things like Attack Attack, and it's just obviously him just embracing who he is. He's a very light-hearted, jokey kind of person. You can tell that when you watch interviews and podcasts and things as well. And I think it just really helps because it helps you just kind of see him as a human and relate to him a lot and just see him as one of the dudes, one of your pals, one of your mates, that sort of thing. And it's definitely across the board in terms of the band that he plays with live, like Reese and Gabby are kind of implemented into that in terms of the light-hearted jokiness of the stage performance. I've seen them live. I'm going to be seeing them live again in Manchester coming up this month. And I think people really appreciate that because you've got jokey, light-hearted moments that you can enjoy for the performance, and the song titles, the album titles aren't to be taken too seriously. You've got actually heartfelt, seriously deep meaning lyrics that everyone and anyone can relate to. You've got good, well-crafted songs that have heavy moments, light moments, and everything in between. Very vast, dynamic songs in terms of songwriting is concerned. And you wrap all of that up into the package, and to round all of that off, you've got a very strange band name. Whenever I tell people that one of my favourite bands is BILMURI, they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, it's not the actor, I can promise you that. It's spelt this way, it's all one word. This is the crack, this is how they sound. It always feels like you've got to sort of like convince people how good the band is. And I think really in actual fact, all you need to do is show them a song or two and they're probably going to be on board because the band are that good. Johnny is that good, the songwriting is that good, and you just can't fault it, alright? These are some of my thoughts and my opinions and just analysing the journey of the career of Johnny Franck and BILMURI and things like that. I've been a massive fan since about 2020 after watching Finn McKenty interview with Johnny, and I went out immediately and checked out some of the back catalogue, and immediately I was hooked and I was like, cool. This is a band I'm going to get into, this is a band I'm going to listen to and continue on that journey, and it's just got better and better and better, and I just really love what they offer for alternative music right now and continue to offer for alternative music right now. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Let's chat about BILMURI and Johnny Franck down below. What's your experiences with the band? When did you discover the band? When did you find the band? What do you love about the band? I would really love to have a chat and continue that conversation. Otherwise, thank you very much once again for watching and listening. I've got lots of other BILMURI videos like guitar covers and things like that on the channel. Feel free to check those out. And I might do more videos like this in the future, so please stick around, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the future video. Peace!